Theater scheduled 16-year-old daughter for 30 hours over Thanksgiving had her resign. Our 16-year-old daughter has been working at a local movie theater for 5 months as her first real job. She is the only person that was still working there from the group that started with her at the same time. She was hired with the knowledge that she was only to be scheduled max 16 hours per week and no more than 2 days, as she has a demanding school schedule, full honors and AP classes. Initially when she started they had her 1 day on one weekend day, usually Saturdays until from 311 or 4 midnight, and then one weekday, usually Wednesday, as she had early release on those days so she could do 310. This schedule was pretty consistent until mid-October, as they lost many of their student staff and new people came on. She never missed a day or called in sick during that time. Then in mid-October she was asked to swap a shift with another coworker, and she ended up working both Saturday and Sunday from 4:11 p.m. Well, they must have liked that ad. They then scheduled her every weekend with the same shift since mid-October, says she hasn't had a free weekend in 6 weeks. She tried telling her scheduling manager last week that she can't work both weekend days, and if they could get her back on one weekday and one weekend shift. They didn't like that and told her that in the theater business, weekends are the busiest days. Yes, we are aware, and that weekends need to be available to work. We thought it was very mature of her to stand up for herself and explain her situation. As her parents, we won't allow her to work more than that, as school and her teenage years are still the most important thing for her development, but she also is earning money to help pay for her car insurance and any extra money she wants to have. Then she got her schedule for Thanksgiving. We knew that she'd likely work Thanksgiving, as that's one of the busiest days. But then her schedule came out today. They had her scheduled for Thursday 28 p.m., Friday 3:10 p.m., Saturday 4 midnight, and then Sunday 4 midnight. Yes, she has school the next day at 7:30 am. So not only did they gaslight her weekend concerns, but they decided that as a 16-year-old she should work 30 hours in 4 days without any break for Thanksgiving. We told her that wasn't acceptable, and we said she was quitting immediately and can look for another job after the break, which she already wanted to do anyway. She sent her thoughts and concerns to her manager and let them know that effective immediately she was quitting. Some part of me feels disappointed it went down that way, but as a parent I wasn't going to let them railroad my child into a bad situation we weren't comfortable with. Was this wrong? She's a good kid, straight as responsible, and she'll find a new job, as all the places around us are hiring. Sounds like a job manager situation to avoid. Feel disappointed that the situation went that way, but applaud your daughter for handling it well with communication of concern. And I applaud you for saying enough is enough as soon as it became clear the actions weren't oversight or mistake. I hope your daughter is with you on this, given you said she intended to look for another job. I assume she is. Sounds like she could use a little break and get a few weekends back. You may want to look into your state's child labor laws or even the company labor laws for minors. There's many places that restrict how long of shifts or how many days a child can work. Some places can't keep a kid past a certain hour, so 412 is so odd to keep a kid at work for that long. You should feel proud. Damn proud that she stood up for herself and that you as her parents knew what should be priority in her life. This is important. The rest of her life, companies will continue to try and take advantage of her at every opportunity. This shows her that it's okay to say no. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to look for something that will appreciate not just her work, but that she has a life outside of work that is more important than a job. We don't live to work, especially for someone else's profits. You'd be surprised how many parents out there pressure their children not to quit because they want them to pay up rent early and learn to be responsible on their own. You did the right thing, being there for her when she was clearly about to be taken advantage of. As a parent, you are a very important support pillar for her. Not wrong. I had similar experiences in high school, including, yes, working in a movie theater. I was trying to be a good worker and prove myself. And on the weekdays I was working until midnight, and then coming in at 6:30 on the weekends. These places take advantage of kids like myself and your daughter. And my experience is that staying in these roles is far more harmful than good. I'm glad she stood up for herself. Movie theaters DNGAF about schedules for their employees. We frequently would have our shift scheduled 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. But the last show start time on big openings was 2:15, so we would be there until nearly 5 a.m. with the expectation to be back the same morning at 7:30 a.m. for staff meeting and first show at 8 a.m. Yes, illegal. I know, but that's how it was. I slept at that place so many times even though I lived down the block. Our crew was pretty awesome though. Ride or die group of ragtags made that place bearable. Probably the most fun job I'll ever have. Glad they went out of business during COVID, but sad that I no longer will get the class action settlement checks I got for many years after I had left. I wish I would have done that with McDonald's when I was her age. Awesome that she is learning now to stand up for herself. I was fully 25 years old before bosses stopped trying to take advantage of my youth. And I fought back from day one. Yes, jobs are about learning responsibility and time management and commitment. But for the most part when you're 16, they're pretty much about making some extra pocket money. School, family, and especially your health, including mental health, take precedence. My mom taught me that, and I'm glad you're teaching your daughter that. My kids are older Gen Z, but I'm so proud of this generation for how they stand up for themselves. They're willing to walk away from a bad situation if they're being taken advantage of. So kudos to your daughter for having the guts to quit. I had a similar thing with McDonald's when I was that age. Got a job there and agreed to a maximum of 16 hours per week. But over time, they started adding more shifts onto my rota, and when I asked to drop a day so I could start learning to drive, they told me I would need to pick up a different day instead. That place made me miserable, and I was much happier to have no money as long as I wasn't working there. Good on you for supporting her as she learns to stand up to her employers. I hate to say this, but learning when and how to stand up for yourself with supervisors, companies is likely the most transferable skill she will take from that job. It stinks that it's so crucial, but it is. Frankly, it's a skill I'm still learning at 31. Just a personal annoyance. They didn't gaslight her, stating they are busiest on certain days and expecting employees to work those days isn't gaslighting. Gaslighting would be if they slowly tried to convince her that she never said she had to work around school and her hours were limited. And in fact they have it documented she requested those hours. And everyone there backs this up. She must be crazy. Look, if she doesn't want to work, they'll give those hours to someone who does. Okay? This will reflect poorly on her review because she can't be trusted to follow through on her commitments. That's gaslighting. You 100% did the right thing. You're teaching her to stand up for herself, and not to take the BS companies will say, do. You all did the right thing. And any job that repeatedly scheduled outside of her availability is the one in the wrong. They also are going to keep making everyone miserable and be in this revolving door situation until they get their act together. They aren't going to keep any quality workers for long. When I was a manager of a fast food place, I let the teens work as much as they wanted and when they wanted. While following the law, they could leave early if we were dead on school nights or their ride could only come at a certain time. For college kids, they got the same flexibility with a bit more, that they could leave early if they had papers, tests, and the like to study for. I told them that they needed to give more advanced notice than the day of is all. I wasn't going to hold them back from getting out of the fast food industry, lol. It worked out well for everyone. The adults got their 40 hours. The young adults and kids got to work as much as they wanted. And we hired as needed to fill in the gaps. During summer and winter holidays, busier season, we were good to go with all the staff being more available. In the end, your daughter's movie theater job values quick solutions and welcome mats instead of working there. Buns off to keep quality workers. If you have to pull 5,060-hour weeks just so the 16-hour-a-week high schooler sticks around, it's worth it. Once the high schooler quits, you're looking at 75-hour work weeks otherwise. It also sounds like the manager wasn't making new schedules and was just copying the previous one, with minor changes. Thanksgiving week was probably the first new schedule since October. Whilst the manager is correct that weekends are the busiest days for the theater business, they are also an idiot, because 16-year-olds are school students, and you can't schedule them like an adult. They have other commitments. Good parent. Any corporation that hires a 16 is going to do this over and over and over and over. Since 16 hours max were agreed upon up front, you should feel no guilt whatsoever. I have been through this. Both my HS and college jobs demanded 30+ hours and I had to do it because my family needed it. You definitely made the right choice. I often wished that if I could do it again, I wouldn't work or have worked so little. Your daughter showed courage, maturity, and an understanding of her value as a worker and as a human. I'm so proud of her, and I hope she continues to be an advocate for herself. I hope you all have a fantastic Thanksgiving. America, the land of the father. Child labor and exploitation.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.